Nishtha, and I welcome you all on behalf of Kidzlive. Hope you all are in pink of your health. As we had promised to make you meet new people while sitting at home, we are back yet again with another episode of Kidzlive. Today, we will talk about role of national education policy in bridging gap in present education system. To enlighten her views on this topic, we have with us Dr. Chetana Keni. Dr. Chetana is an education thought leader and founder of Aurinko Academy, which is a unique initiative in the field of education. She is also a parenting and homeschooling coach since 2 decades. She helps youngsters in career-related advices and personality development. Welcome, Dr. Chetana.
Namaste, thank you.
We also have with us Mr. Shishir Meglani. Shishir is a serial entrepreneur, technology proponent who believes technology will touch our lives in future in never thought before ways. He has executed some of challenging technology solutions for government and enterprise. He has a vision to transform the education sector in ways not thought before, and Kidzpreneur is just a start for him. Welcome, Shishir.
Thank you very much for welcome, Nishtha, and welcome to the show, Chetna. It is a real pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. Same here. I love what you're doing at Kidzpreneur, and I think this is an opportunity I really love.
And we feel totally inspired by people like you who are doing some amazing stuff yourself. And this is the time for audience to understand what Aurinko Academy is doing and how different it is for the world to have.
Thank you.
Since you are running an Aurinko Academy, a unique solution, so we would like to know about how children used to start their entrepreneurial journey so that viewers can also connect with the same.
Sure. So Aurinko Academy is a learning space. It's called a school for want of a better name. One of the things that we surely focus on right from the beginning is skill building. And one of those skills is definitely design thinking. And when design thinking comes, you have empathy, and then you have a problem and you want to solve that problem. And to solve that problem, you try and find solutions, and you try and implement it. And the minute you implement it, definitely you're going to have some kind of a product, right? And it can be anything small. It can be a solution, it can be a product, it can be anything small or big. And the child also can be small or big. Once they have something like that, then they start understanding that entire cycle of how they came about, and then they move on to helping other people understand the efficacy of that solution or that product, and how they could use it in their lives, how it could make their lives better. So there is a lot of social angle that is combined with entrepreneurial skills in Aurinko. And as they grow, second grade, third grade, they start understanding the power of people, all the students around them, the Aurinko ecosystem around them, all the parents, mentors, whomever they are available. Everybody works hand in hand in making this dream come true for the child. So they're encouraged to a large extent, and slowly and steadily as they grow up, somewhere around 7th or 8th grade, they now have not only their ideas, but they understand the community, they understand the user persona and all these aspects without really knowing the technical names of them. And then slowly they do come up with products, and we have children who have set up their own carpentry studios, or they have bakeries, or they have different things like this. And slowly, because it's a community that supports each other, I think we become their first customers and consumers, and also people who can give them feedback so that they can improvise on that product. So that's how the entrepreneurial journey starts in Aurinko, with empathy and with the need to solve real life problems.
That's really sounds awesome. Like you are just a child and you have started doing your business.
Yeah. It's exciting.
So what are the attributes of a good personality for a student, and how they can start personality development journey?
See, while there are many definitions of personality, what is personality? It is the person that you are, right? And the uniqueness in you. And that uniqueness can be, personified only if you are able to keep your core intact. If you're one with yourself, if you feel comfortable with yourself, and then you are trying to build a lot of skills and tools that you require to be in this real world. And they can be soft skills, or they can be actual life skills and things like that. So one is children, more than children, I think the ecosystem around them is more important to consider while we are working on personality development. We need to really understand what makes or mars a child, and how we can affect his mental, emotional state, right? And that is why as adults we need to be very careful. We need to practice gentle parenting as parents. We need to not label children. We need to accept them as they are. We need to be able to have confidence in them, give them a lot of responsibilities, trust that they will do it, be open for feedback, but also be able to give constructive feedback. These are all very important aspects of adults around the child, so that we can give them an opportunity to love themselves, to have a very good self-esteem, which can then as they grow, then slowly and steadily, with the influence of the world around them, they're able to build their personality. A lot of personality is biological in nature, but it's also the ability to fit ourselves into what the world requires, right? That's a continuous interplay that happens, and that interplay is possible for children at a comfortable pace if the ecosystem is working towards making it conducive. So I think between children and adults, if there is a beautiful rapport and acceptance, openness, then it works wonders.
Since today we are going to speak about national education policy, new national education policy has been launched. Do you think it required justice to education system, and what gaps are filled and what is still to be taken care of?
So, yeah, we have an education system that is outdated. That is because I think the needs of the world have changed. When it came about, maybe it made sense to whoever brought it about, because we had to create a lot of consumers, and we had to create a lot of people who can work in industries, right? But now I think the world is changing, and we are also questioning the status quo, and we want to get back to who we were and find something that is more comfortable, where we can be comfortable in our own skin. That is something that is leading us to question. And also, when we look around other countries and the way education is moving forward in those countries, especially with the internet, now it's possible to understand what's happening all around, right? So in the last, I think, 20 years, there's been a lot of understanding for parents, for the educationists, and everybody, as to who are children actually. How do they learn? What should be the environment that a child should grow in or learn in? What should happen in various stages of the child's life, which is in accordance to the developmental stages. A lot of these things have come into the picture now, and people are understanding these things. Otherwise, school was for literacy. We didn't think beyond that. Everything else was done by the community around, right? But now, because of our lifestyle, the school has become a community where everything has to happen other than literacy, or including literacy. Why I'm saying other than is there are so many ways in which children can read and write now, and that can be substituted. I don't know whether literacy will soon become digital literacy and no longer the reading writing aspects. So in this scenario, surely the national education policy is a welcome change, because it not only now what we educationists have been doing in the cities and certain pockets and certain schools now will become the norm, right? Currently, when we spoke about child-centric education, child-led education, skill-based education, exams being diagnostic in nature, working on the developmental stages of children, and accordingly see how the child can explore the environment around, and then thereafter pick skills that are required for their life. When we spoke about all these things, it was called alternate education, because mainstream education was subjects, exams, getting marks in them, and then moving on to college, where science and math were the main subjects. Everything else was something else. If you can't do science and math, then you will do something like that. Engineering or medicine are the only coveted careers, so that is mainstream. And this was all called alternate. But if you see the national education policy, it's completely blurring all of this, right? It is saying make it skill based, make it vocational based, give gap years to children, bring in the mother tongue mode of instruction, because that's how children really learn the best. So, and I think in the high school, higher education also, a lot has been envisioned to change. So I think it is really a welcome change if you look at all of this. Plus, there is a lot of importance to integration. There is this no difference between curricular, extracurricular, academic, non-academic. That kind of differentiation is no longer there. Science, arts, everything is now one. When I say is now one, it's envisioned to be. Depends on how parents, especially, quickly catch on to this new change, and of course educators as well. So those are good things that have happened. Art integration, sports integration, technological integration, all of these are very high-end, futuristic, progressive things that have come into our education system now. They were already there before, not technology, but I think we learned by stories. If you look at our mythology and all of these things, stories is the way we learn. So it's nice to see all of this getting integrated. It's also nice to see Playway being integrated again. It's something that human beings really love, doing what they love and being at ease, being with an empty mind, and just looking at resources around them and coming up with something new. That is the core of being creativity, and maybe the seeds of innovation are sowed during that time. So it's nice to see that children will now have that kind of education almost till third grade, starting from 2.5 years, which is like really good. That's a long time for a child to be able to be in those that space, to be able to have their own space, right? With the higher education, and the 10th and the 12th, those kind of board exams becoming very low stake, I think the parents also will now stop pushing children towards that one exam that decided everything in their life, right? And I have seen, and it pains me a lot, that after 6th grade, children never used to have a life. It was just exams and entrance and coaching and those kind of things. If board exams become low stake, you don't have to do all these things. Children can continue to focus on what they love doing, along with academics, of course. And that is why the integration of vocational subjects from 6th grade is a great idea. So children have something that they're pursuing, and if they like it, they can go deeper into it. And then again, the seeds of entrepreneurship will be sowed then, right? Something that you really like doing, you will definitely use it in your daily life, right? So those are nice things, that are happening. And then the National Bank of Credits, that's a nice thing. I think teacher profession itself is going to have so much of value now. It's people are going to look up to teachers, because one is the curriculum is changing. Second is a lot of teachers are required for the NEP to actually come into place, which means we will see more people joining this profession. India has I can hear from the PMO's office that we need to bring the best minds into teaching. And if the best minds start coming into teaching, I think we will have more and more best minds also coming out of it. And if the best minds are coming into teaching, the notion about the teaching profession again will go back to what it was before, the guru Sishya kind of philosophy that we all had. I think it'll go back to that, and it'll be a good welcome change if NEP happens the way it has been envisioned. If everybody embraces it, understands it in its true spirit, and if everybody works towards making it happen. And the main person in this whole NEP, I feel, are the parents, and definitely the government, in how they're going to make it possible in the government schools and the rural India. Cities are somewhere there already. I think we'll quickly get onto the bandwagon.
As you have mentioned, like parents are going to be addressed after changing the education system. So what benefits are going to students have in that?
So like I said, see, students will have a lot of opportunity to work at their pace, right? Because, they have changed the education system from 10+2, right? Now it is almost 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That kind of a time period is given to the child, and they're not assessed every moment, every week and every 2 months. That is not the way of assessment. Even if they're assessing at the end of each of these levels, it's going to be diagnostic in nature, so that we can find out what are the gaps that children have and then see how we can fill them. I think that is going to give children a lot of freedom and a lot of time to learn at their own pace. I love the aspect of the mother tongue, because a huge part of our country is not comfortable with English. And I think, and if you look at the most developed countries, they're still having their own mother tongue or the native language that they are learning in. So in our country, what has happened is this craze for English is okay maybe for us in cities because we're used to this language and we studied in this. But if you look at the rural aspect of education and the children there, they're more comfortable in their own language. And because they were not comfortable with English, one is they had the added burden of tuitions and all of these things. Second is they do not understand the subjects, they do not understand the concept. So there is a greater chances of disengagement and thereafter dropouts and so many other aspects, right? So if we're able to bring in the mother tongue, at least till 5th grade or even till 8th grade, what happens is there's greater engagement, there's interest, the children pick up the concepts easily, children will stick on to studying, and there is a greater possibility of increasing the rate of literacy in our country. So I think that is a good move. Again, one thing that I really like for children is the fact that they're bringing in vocational skills now at 6th grade. Earlier it was at 9th onwards. So now at 6th grade means that children really are curious. They love to learn, and they love to learn different things, and they love to learn when they're making things. When they're working with their hands, they are the happiest. Not writing with hands, but making things with their hands. I think that is a very good thing, because from 6th grade, at that point of time, children actually become very distracted. There are, their bodies are changing and all these things. That time it's good to have a sense of purpose for children and something that keeps them busy, that keeps them making something, doing something. So I think that's a good way. There's a lot of focus on bringing the local artisans and the local arts into the schooling system, which is good because children will start loving, respecting, and having value for what they see around them. If it's a potter's town, or if it's they're born in like a textile village or something like that, they'll have value for that. And I think they will learn that skill also, which is now not there, right? If you're educated, it means you have to go to the city because you don't know what's happening in the village any which ways. That skill you don't know, right? So I think these are good things that children may want to grow up and see how they can help their ecosystems evolve by being a big part of it, right? So that is something that is good. What I also like is the gap years. After 10th grade, at 10th you can take a gap year, at 12th you can take a gap year, all your 4 years of graduation. So they made it 4 years now with 1 year of research, which is excellent because we really don't have research skills. But I think within that 4 years also you can take gap years, and the value of gap years is really immense. When you actually go into the system to learn something, you come out and you go into the real world, you kind of try and apply, see what is available, you see what really interests you, what ignites your passion there. Then you realize, okay, I want to learn something, I want to add on some more skill because I can contribute back to the society. Then you come back, you learn something because it's now more relevant to you. It's not something random that, right now, for example, if you take sciences in 10th and then you do it in 12th and then you do it in graduation and then perhaps post-graduation, and then you start thinking, what do I really want? If you had to become an entrepreneur, did you really have to go through the engineering cycle? It's something we need to think about. Not that you shouldn't, but I'm just saying, right? So I think that those gap years are beautiful, opportunities for children to look into. The fact that children are going to have a completely integrated kind of approach will mean that children will start taking a different mix of subjects than we have ever seen. This is already available in NIOS, and I have tried this in Aurinko from the past 10 years. That's why I know when a child takes a mix of sciences, arts, and commerce. So we have children who have taken the sciences and psychology, business studies, economics, that kind of a combination. Their experiences are richer. They understand better. They integrate knowledge better, and then they're able to understand the world better. And their careers are also more, at least they are aware of what they're trying to do and what is available and why they're doing what they're doing. So commitment is more, motivation is more. So I think these are excellent features and positives for children as they grow into the NEP. It will take time, 10 years at least, for the NEP to kind of sink into the system. But I think if mindsets change, if the parent mindsets change and the schools are able to create a lot of awareness and acceptance in parents, this can happen immediately. You don't need to wait for the NEP to be functional in its entirety.
I think this is such a wonderful insight which you have shared. And I think there has been a big gap in the education system, which most people, tend to, were forced to figure out after spending almost 15 years of their life, learning some of the streams and getting stuck to that stream.
Correct.
Sometimes because of family pressure, sometimes because of their change of choices as they grow up.
Yeah.
This NEP definitely is bringing that thing, and I think you are already doing something of that nature. Speaks a lot, and this actually very synchronizes with our thought process as well. That is what we're trying to provide as an alternate learning platform for kids for real life skills. That is something which has been missing. But the interesting part is that Aurinko Academy is already having some of the entrepreneurial ideas being pushed by kids. So I wanted to understand if you could share one of the ideas which your kids have done and which transformed their life or which impacted you as such. On that note, I would love to hear and share this experience from Aurinko Academy to our viewers.
So I'll tell you about two experiences which happened hand in hand. So we've had a child who joined us when she was around 6 years old. Somebody who was really, really interested in cooking. And parents used to stop because you can get hurt in the kitchen and you're too small. Why would you want to do something like that? And she was not interested in just simple cooking. She wanted to cook like biryani or these complicated kind of dishes at 6. And when she came to Aurinko, she actually came because in her existing school, she was kind of going within a shell, because it was only academics and she wasn't really recognized for who she is, or she couldn't even talk about what she liked, and she was really, really passionate about it. And so when she came to Aurinko, she said, I want to join this school because all of you are always doing something hands-on, and I also want to do something. So we said, okay. And then she joined. She started working with with all the other children on different projects. And in Aurinko, we have children can actually pick various projects. So she used to pick up some baking project, or she used to pick up some rasmalai project. I want to learn how to do it, or something like that. And alongside, she was also good in arts. So especially painting and drawing. So that she picked up. She was good in athletics. So she discovered that, and then she got into gymnastics. And this was going on, and as she grew into that, everyone knew that she likes cooking. So anytime there used to be any kind of master chef kind of competitions, in tiny spaces, like maybe in a mall or maybe in an apartment or something, so everybody used to tell her, this is there, and she used to go participate. Always she used to win. So it was good. And as she grew, somewhere around 11 years old, she actually knew to cook a lot of different cuisines, and her education was going on. That is something that is we always say a side effect of being in Aurinko is you will also be educated, so the literacy aspects were going on. And while when she was 11, we had a staff birthday. And, I said, you've been learning for so long and you've been making, do you want to make something for us? And we gave her a concept cake. And we said, we want this concept to be made. And she did a brilliant job of it. She had no clue how to make it because she was just baking simple cakes. She researched, she learned, she went to our, carpentry workshop and learned how to actually make shapes. Because though she had to make it on a cake, that itself is a skill, right? How do you carve? How do you sculpt? How do you do things? So she learned all of those things and actually made that cake, which was really very good. And it had very complicated things. It was not a simple cake. You had to make a camera, you had to make a different tools, and you had to make a pond, you had to make fish, because that person liked all these things. So once we saw that, the next month we had a school-wide birthday that we had to celebrate, and it was a 7 kg cake. So I said, look, I need a 7 kg cake. It should be eggless because there are different people, and it should be in so and so shape and whatever it is. And of course, she's a young child, right? Like 11 years is not a big thing. So she put it on the Aurinko group, found a parent who could give her a eggless cake recipe, learned it, perfected it, then discussed with different people how to make a 7 kg cake, right? And then the whole thing of how to make it, how to package it, how to bring it, because her home is away from school, right? And then she asked us if she could bake it in school, which was not possible because it was so big. Then, and you don't have enough time to bake a 7 kg cake. So then she had to bake at home, assemble it, bring it to school, and do all the decoration in school, all of that. For that, she had to come early. It was a big thing that she was doing, and we were just available. We just told her that this is an ecosystem available for you, use it, right? But we're not going to really help, come and instruct you to do things. So everybody was just on standby. Whenever you want, we will step in. But she did it, and she did an excellent job of it. And then thereafter, we started telling the Aurinko community that, you can actually start giving her orders. And year after year, she was making cakes for everybody in the school. Any birthday would be a concept cake, and they would tell her, and she would make it. And that became her business. And then she had to learn how to make receipts, how to take orders, how to remember them, how to not take too many orders, how to have a portfolio so that people can choose from those cakes. All this became part of that learning experience that she needed to have. And slowly now she's only 14 years old, but she has a running business. She does still participates in all the contests, still wins. But what has come about this whole thing is her gymnastics continued, her art continued, her this cooking continued. Baking is just one example, but actually she knows to cook all Indian cuisines, many Indian cuisines, some simple things that we make at home. Also, she does a very good job of it. So then now her future is to complete her 10th, 12th, get into hospitality. But in the future, she wants to set up a gymnastics center, which will have a cafe where she will be doing all these things, and which will also have an art center so that people can come and spend their time. So this is very unique, right? You have a sports facility, you have an arts facility, you have a cafe. She also wants to have a cooking, classes for children and all of that. If you see, a tiny, small dream of a 6-year-old has become such a huge dream, which will become a life, her whole life is charted. And I'm sure she'll do much more than that, because the confidence has been kept intact. The core is intact. Nothing has been tampered with. And the self-esteem is really, really high. So that is one story.
I'm sure this is an amazing story. And I think the best part is she is doing what she wants to do. Yes. Without anybody coaxing into the same. And
you don't have to compromise on academics. I don't know why whenever we speak about children following their dreams, parents feel they're compromising on academics. Whenever we speak something like this, usually they'll ask me, so are your children able to adjust into real life? And I always tell them, this is real life, right? The whole experience from K to 12 is as real as it can get. So there's no question of adjusting or going back or returning or whatever that we call it, right?
Absolutely. So before ending the session, I would really love to know about some advice which you want to give to children.
I wish children's lives were their own, and just like how we stayed on standby around to help when needed. If we all adults could do that, I think my advice would make more sense to children. But if that could happen and adults wouldn't interfere too much and would be led by the child, to be able to allow them to have their own experiences, experiments with life, and fail and succeed or whatever it is, then I think I would tell children to be really fearless, to question everything, anything, to not worry too much about the hierarchy around them. Right? Yes, in our country we do have a certain hierarchy about head of the family, or school principal, whatever it is. But I think a rapport can be built there also. Respect is a different thing, but fear is a different thing. So to not have fear is important. To find something that really interests them, and continue that as a hobby, and then therefore as a passion, and then as a career, that would be a beautiful journey to have. To stay away from the influence of media, to stay away from gaming and other addictions that are happening. I do understand that we are speaking about technology integration and a lot gamifying curriculum and all of those, but there is a time and space for everything, right? That is not being respected in today's world, and that is why a lot of children are losing not only their childhood but also their skills and their talents, and a lot of possibilities for the future are just being compromised. So that is something they can do. I think children should continue to be curious and continue to work really hard and be perseverant in whatever they'd like to do. Giving up has become too easy. So that is something they need to take care of. Physical development is being compromised, not only in the COVID times, but I think in general. So children have to be very, very active. They should be strong. They should be able to stand and work in a carpentry workshop for 8 hours if need be, right? And they should be able to, really persevere at something that takes a long duration. So children nowadays start something but give up too early because that practice isn't there. So that is something they can look into. And somewhere maybe go back into the Indian culture, Indian roots that we have, and learn from it, because there are a lot of gems there in the experiences of our ancestors and our forefathers. I think they have done a lot already for us to learn from. So while we are forward looking, I think we should also not forget our roots. So children should stop looking down upon our country and our roots, and stay strong, hold them, and then of course fly.
I completely agree with what all advices you have given. So let's dream big and work hard to achieve that.
Sure.
I would like to thank all the audience who have been watching us on Facebook Live or going to the recording after the session. Thank you, Chetana, for being part of Kidzlive show. These testing times under COVID-19 situation has created a vacuum and forced us to face times we had never dreamt of. Engaging kids has become quite an effort who are forced to stay inside their homes 24/7. This Kidzlive initiative, like many others, may help to keep your child engaged and updated. If you want to acknowledge more topics, you may write to us on our Facebook page or on our website, Kidzpreneur.com, and feel free to put any suggestions. Thank you everyone for being part of Kidzlive show, and thank you very much, Chetana and Shishir, once again for joining the show.
Thank you all as well. I really loved being on this show. Thank you.